Welcome to Gray Matter Reports. Today we decode the complex reality of events that unfold around us. The city lay shrouded in fog, its streets a labyrinth of shadows. A faint siren wailed in the distance, echoing the turmoil within. In a dimly lit interrogation room, the air was thick with unspoken tension. An individual sat across from the investigator, eyes cold yet flickering with a hint of something deeper. Empathy, they say, is a double-edged sword, and in this moment, it cut both ways. The investigator observed closely. The subject's face, an impassive mask, betrayed little, yet the eyes betrayed a flicker of understanding, a shared humanity that felt dissonant against the backdrop of the unfolding narrative. It was a paradox, this connection, threading the line between understanding and repulsion. The investigator felt the weight of the moment, a clinical detachment mingling with the instinct to connect. This was not merely a case to solve. This was a glimpse into the human psyche. The motivations of the individual were like a tangled web, intricate and elusive. Each strand represented a choice made, a consequence faced. As the investigator leaned forward, the subject mirrored the movement, as if drawn by an invisible force, a gravitational pull toward recognition. What is it that drives one to the brink? Biological evidence could speak volumes, but it was the emotional undercurrents that revealed the true narrative. Decisions made in fleeting moments often echoed through eternity. The investigator recalled the studies that showed how empathy could skew judgment. In an attempt to understand, lines blurred, intentions became clouded. The paradox lay in the ability to feel for another while remaining entirely self-absorbed. The clock ticked ominously on the wall, each second stretching into an eternity. Here, in this sterile space, the boundaries of morality wavered. The subject, seemingly unperturbed, began to reveal fragments of a fractured reality. With each word, the investigator felt the tightening grip of empathy, a potent force that could either illuminate or obscure the truth. What happens when understanding becomes entangled with justification? The investigator grappled with this question, feeling the scales shift within. Every revelation pulled them deeper into the infinite loop of human experience. The narrative was not just one of crime, it was a study of the self, reflecting a struggle that resonated beyond these four walls. As the fog thickened outside, the interplay of light and shadow danced across the subject's face. The investigator's resolve wavered, caught in the web of their own emotional response. The infinite loop spiraled on, each revelation more haunting than the last, leading them further down a path where empathy and morality collided. The room was stark, sterile. A single overhead light flickered, casting shadows that danced across the walls. In the center, an individual sat, eyes downcast, an air of resignation enveloping them. This was not merely a case. It was a study of the human psyche, a labyrinth of choices and consequences. The investigator leaned forward, voice calm, dissecting the layers. "Tell me about the moment you decided to act." The question hung in the air, heavy with expectation. It was a portal into the mind, a dangerous exploration of impulse and rationale. The individual shifted, their brow furrowing. "I didn't think. It was instinct." An instinct perhaps born from a cocktail of environmental triggers and biological predispositions. The clinical narrative of their life unfolded like a slow-motion reel, each frame revealing a convergence of factors. A childhood marked by neglect, exposure to chaos, the early signs of an antisocial profile, coupled with a brain wired for detachment. The investigator jotted notes, a mechanical rhythm underscoring the emotional weight of the dialogue. The paradox of empathy emerged, a cruel irony. Did you feel remorse? The question probed deeper, seeking the heartbeat beneath layers of indifference. The individual hesitated, a flicker of something, fear perhaps crossing their face. Not until much later. At the time, it was just clarity. Clarity, in the depths of chaos, painted a chilling picture. The clinician's mind raced. Here lay the crux of the paradox. Empathy, a function of connection, was often absent in those who navigated the darker alleys of human behavior. The decision-making process became a cold calculus, stripped of emotional context. As the session progressed, the individual's narrative revealed a series of calculated choices masquerading as reflexes. Each choice, though seemingly instinctual, was laden with the weight of prior experiences. The investigator noted this, an intricate dance of biology and environment, shaping decisions in the absence of compassion. The conclusion approached, a tightening noose of understanding. The investigator leaned back, contemplating the implications. Are you capable of change? The question echoed, reverberating within the sterile confines of the room. The individual's gaze lifted, a flicker of vulnerability surfacing. I want to be. It was a simple statement, yet within it lay the vast complexity of human desire and the struggle for redemption. A reminder that even in the darkest corners of the mind, the flicker of hope could illuminate the path forward. As the session concluded, the investigator remained immersed in thought, wrestling with the eternal tension between empathy and the choices we make. The infinite loop of human behavior continued, spiraling into the unknown. The mind is a labyrinth. Within its twisting corridors, emotions collide and intersect, creating a psychological bridge between the self and the other. This bridge, while delicate, serves as a conduit for empathy, or the absence of it. In the realm of criminal decision-making, this absence often leads individuals down a path of distorted reasoning. Imagine a subject standing at the precipice of choice. They face a decision that could alter not only their own life, but also the lives of others. Here, the bridge becomes a battleground. Empathy is a double-edged sword. It can illuminate the consequences of one's actions or obscure them beneath a veil of self-interest. The individual grapples with conflicting emotions, a cacophony of whispers urging them toward justification. Empathy, in its purest form, fosters connection. It allows one to feel the weight of another's experience, to recognize shared humanity. Yet for some, this bridge is shrouded in darkness. The antisocial profile often lacks the foundational elements required for empathy, rendering them incapable of seeing beyond their own immediate needs. They perceive the world through a narrow lens, where others are mere obstacles or tools, devoid of intrinsic value. Clinical studies illustrate the stark contrast between empathetic and non-empathetic decision-making. Neuroimaging reveals that regions of the brain associated with emotional processing light up in individuals capable of empathy. In contrast, those with an antisocial profile exhibit diminished activity in these areas. It's as if a vital connection has been severed, leaving them adrift in a sea of rationalization. Consider the implications of this severance. When an individual lacks the ability to empathize, they become trapped in an infinite loop of self-justification. Each decision spirals into the next, a relentless cycle of rationalization that distorts moral clarity. The psychological bridge that should connect their actions to the suffering of others remains untraversed, resulting in a chilling detachment from the consequences of their choices. The paradox of empathy in criminal decision-making unfolds further. In some cases, a fleeting moment of emotional connection can ignite a spark of conscience. But this spark is often extinguished by the weight of pre-existing beliefs and desires. The individual may momentarily glimpse the humanity they overlook, yet swiftly retreat into the comfort of their own narrative. Thus, the bridge remains fragile, a testament to the complexities of human psychology. Each crossing requires a choice that can lead to understanding or to an abyss of self-deception. In the end, it is this psychological architecture that shapes our understanding of morality, justice, and the choices that define us. The room is sterile, the air thick with an unyielding gravity. An array of case files lies scattered on the table, each a testament to a human mind's descent into chaos. The subjects within these pages are not mere statistics. They are echoes of choices made under the weight of conflicting impulses. Empathy, a fragile thread, weaves through the fabric of humanity. Yet in the realm of criminal decision-making, it becomes a paradox. Individuals often oscillate between the capacity for compassion and the cold calculus of self-interest. Here, the heart battles the mind, creating a feedback loop that distorts reality. Consider the antisocial profile, a case study in contradiction. An individual may possess a keen awareness of societal norms, yet consciously choose to subvert them. This awareness is not devoid of empathy. Rather, it exists in a state of suspension. It is akin to a surgeon wielding a scalpel, aware of the pain they inflict, yet driven by a greater objective. The detachment is clinical, yet the capacity for empathy lingers just beneath the surface. Biological evidence reveals the complexity of this internal struggle. Neuroimaging studies illuminate the brain's dual pathways. The amygdala, often associated with emotional responses, pulses with activity when faced with moral dilemmas. Simultaneously, the prefrontal cortex, a bastion of rational thought, calculates risks and benefits. This interplay generates a dissonance that can lead to choices seemingly devoid of moral consideration. The individual becomes a confluence of competing narratives. In the pursuit of self-preservation or gain, empathy can twist into a tool for manipulation. The ability to understand another's pain may transform into a weapon, allowing one to exploit vulnerabilities for personal advantage. The line between protector and predator blurs, and the infinite loop of decision-making spirals into darkness. Each case conclusion offers insights, but also leaves lingering questions. What drives a person to embrace the shadows of their psyche? Is it a failure of empathy, or an overwhelming flood of it that leads to the unraveling of moral fabric? The clinical gaze seeks answers, but often finds only reflections of its own limitations. In this exploration, we confront the uncomfortable truth. Empathy is not always a guiding light. It can at times become a murky reflection, an enigma that ensnares the very souls it seeks to understand. This deep dive into the paradox challenges our assumptions about what it means to be human, pushing the boundaries of our understanding of morality and choice. The cycle continues, an eternal loop of cause and effect, of empathy and estrangement. Society grapples with the enigma of empathy, a double-edged sword in the realm of criminal decision-making. Across continents, the interplay between cultural norms and individual choices creates a mosaic of behaviors that defy simple categorization. The global perspective reveals a complex tapestry, woven with threads of psychology, sociology, and ethics. In the densely populated streets of Tokyo, an antisocial profile emerges. The subject navigates a world saturated with social cues yet remains detached. Here, the pressure to conform clashes with a deep-seated need for autonomy. The choice to disengage becomes a survival mechanism, an escape into the shadows. In this urban labyrinth, empathy morphs into a hindrance, complicating the subject's ability to connect with others. Conversely, in the vast deserts of the American Southwest, the solitude breeds a different kind of crisis. The individual, isolated yet introspective, wrestles with the weight of their decisions. Biological evidence suggests that the brain's reward pathways respond differently in varying environments. In this arid landscape, the absence of community amplifies the internal struggle. Empathy becomes a whisper, drowned out by the cacophony of self-preservation. Moving across the Atlantic to the bustling streets of London, a new narrative unfolds. Here, the subject navigates a web of cultural expectations and systemic pressures. The paradox of empathy takes center stage. Individuals living in high-stress environments often exhibit a heightened sense of vigilance. This vigilance can lead to a cynical detachment where empathy is perceived as weakness. The decision-making process transforms into a clinical calculation, one that weighs personal survival against societal obligations. In these varied contexts, the neural underpinnings of empathy reveal a startling truth. Empathy is not a uniform experience. It is shaped by environment, heritage, and personal history. As the individual grapples with moral dilemmas, the brain oscillates between emotional resonance and cold logic. The case conclusion becomes a reflection of this inner turmoil, revealing how choices are molded by both external and internal forces. The global perspective underscores a haunting reality. Empathy, while often viewed as a moral compass, can equally lead to moral paralysis. In every corner of the world, the struggle within the human psyche persists, revealing the complexities of choice in the face of societal expectation. The infinite loop of empathy continues to spiral, challenging the very essence of what it means to be human in a fractured world. The courtroom felt like a living entity, suffocating and electric. Each gaze was a dagger, piercing through layers of tension. A hushed silence enveloped the space, punctuated only by the rhythmic tapping of a gavel. It was the moment of truth, the final verdict, yet the air was thick with unresolved ambiguity. The jury, a collection of 12 individuals, sat as silent sentinels. Their faces betrayed the weight of their collective decision. Outside, the world continued in its indifference, a stark contrast to the emotional crucible inside. The subject, a complex figure, remained impassive. His expression was a mask, concealing a labyrinth of thoughts and emotions. The prosecution's case had been meticulously constructed, like an intricate puzzle. They presented biological evidence that painted a picture of intent, of premeditated actions that straddled the line between reason and madness. Yet, was it truly that simple? The defense countered with a narrative of empathy, suggesting that the subject's actions stemmed from a fractured psyche, an overwhelming response to a lifetime of neglect and trauma. The judge's voice cut through the tension, echoing in the sterile room. "We must consider the context," he intoned, his words heavy with gravity. Context is often the missing variable in the equation of human behavior. The subject's history was marked by a series of unfortunate events, shaping a worldview steeped in anger and isolation. Could empathy be extended to someone whose choices had so grievously affected others? As the deliberation continued, the concept of empathy morphed into a paradox. It was a clinical term, typically associated with understanding and compassion, yet here it served as a double-edged sword. The jury wrestled with the implications of empathy, questioning whether it could coexist with accountability. In the sterile confines of the courtroom, where emotions were supposed to be set aside, empathy clawed its way to the forefront. The verdict, when finally rendered, felt like an echo of the chaos swirling within, a decision made, yet fraught with uncertainty. The jury foreman's voice trembled as he read the words, each syllable an affirmation of their struggle. The subject's expression shifted, a flicker of realization crossing his features. This was not merely a conclusion to a case. It was a reflection of society's grappling with its own conscience. In that moment, the courtroom became a microcosm of the human experience. The infinite loop of empathy and decision-making spiraled endlessly, leaving a haunting question lingering in the air. Can understanding ever truly coexist with justice? The verdict settled like a shroud, heavy and undeniable, yet the paradox remained unresolved, echoing in the minds of all present.